I have served the church as a pastor for over 30 years, but not all of them have been as a full-time pastor. During many of them, I've had to find additional means of employment. And in those years, I have done some interesting things. Some of those other pieces of part-time employment have lasted a year or less, while others have lasted a long time. I served as a hospice chaplain, a bookstore owner, a database input officer, a warehouse stockboy, an office manager, an employment coach, and as an English language tutor. There's a line from The Sound of Music when Maria is meeting with the Mother Superior, and she asked Maria, "Why did you come to us?" And Maria responds with something about escaping her problems. And the abbess says to her, "Maria, these walls were not meant to shut out problems, but to face them." I think the benefit of my serving the church in multiple years as a part-time pastor and having to find other means of employment have kept me from escaping behind these walls and the security of just a pastor's desk. It has forced me to notice the world around me and the people who really live in it each and every day. Because of that, I think I see the world, view the world, interact with the world from a unique perspective, both as a pastor and as just a regular guy going about his day's work. I think it has helped me be deeply rooted in my faith, but also deeply rooted in understanding how difficult daily life with work, commutes, schedules, kids, bills, obligations, and allegiances can truly be. Over the years, I've sat in meetings over a cup of coffee in neighborhood diners and in coffee shops, but also in employment and employee kitchens and break rooms, or in dedicated conference rooms. I've eaten meals in fancy restaurants, the local dive, or at fast food restaurants. And yes, I've even been known to have drinks with friends at a local bar. In it all, I've listened to other people's conversations. I'm not normally a nebby person out in public, listening to what other people are saying, but two things happened very close together a few years ago, and it's made me more aware of things and how people view life. The first thing that happened was this. I met with one of our Presbytery's branch leaders a few years ago. We met for coffee at a tiny little dive of a sandwich shop on the north side. At the table next to us were two men. They looked like laborers of some sort, perhaps road crew or construction workers, and I heard one of them say to the other, "I can't wait until this weekend. The wife and I aren't doing anything but staying home. Last weekend we got totally trashed, which made Monday, and excuse the expletive, I'll just use a difficult day." The man chuckled a bit and responded, "Well, my brother and I are helping the woman next door to him. Her porch is collapsing and needs to be completely torn down. Last weekend, he and I got most of the material that we need, and this weekend we're going to try and tear down the porch and start the foundation." Now, the first man who used much more colorful language that I'm going to edit out of, sorry, said, "I wouldn't help the black people that live next door to me, even if their house caught on fire. They're worthless pieces of trash." Again, I edited the version that he used. His companion asked, "Really, that bad?" He responded with more colorful language, talking about letting them burn. At that point, I didn't really want to hear the rest of the conversation, but I really couldn't help it. The less colorful language man said, "Well, I was always taught that you helped your neighbors. At least that's what my parents and my church taught me." And the colorful language man said, "Yeah, well, the Bible also says that God helps those who help themselves. And these people who live next to me are living off of my dime because they are nothing but welfare crackheads." The Bible doesn't actually say that, right? His companion said. And he responded, "I don't really give a blank what the Bible says. I just hate people who are living off of my hard-earned money just so they can waste it on alcohol, drugs, and cigarettes. The other man then asked, have you ever had a conversation with them? Why the blank would I do that? The colorful language man asked. I don't know. Maybe so they could see you as more than just a prejudiced jerk, and maybe you could start seeing them as human beings. Believe me, they are nothing but trash, he said, and I stopped listening. Choose today who you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. The following week, I was having dinner with a friend of mine at Café Note in Ben Avon, as we celebrated a belated birthday dinner for both of us. Two couples were sitting at the table next to us. As my dinner companion and I talked, I couldn't help but overhear bits and pieces of the next table's conversation, especially as I kept hearing large monetary numbers casually thrown out by one of them. $30,000 here, $500,000 there, and my interest kind of peaked when I heard one of them mention buying a house in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is one of the places that I visited and have fallen in love with. It is a wonderful place if you've never been. Well, that person at that table said, my real estate agent was able to get this house for us at a steal due to a nasty divorce settlement from what they said. Neither the husband nor the wife want the other to get a dime. Hey, that's fine with me, he said. We got it for about $600,000. You aren't moving, are you? The opposite couple's wife asked. No, we're just going to use it as one of our vacation homes. Oh, that's right. You still have a vacation home down in the Keys, right? Yes, Key Largo, actually. We like it better than Key West, much more laid back without all the tourists. We also have a home up in Canada, too, on the lake. Next week, we're going up there to close it for the winter and dry dock the boat. We're probably going to have it completely overhauled and sell next year if you know anyone who wants to buy a yacht. It's really too big of a boat for up there. The lake is huge, but I'd rather have a smaller schooner or something. Well, one of the other couples responded, well, we don't really know anyone that would want to buy a boat. We don't exactly operate in the same circles as you do. We have a hard enough time trying to raise a couple $1,000s every year for our kids' mission trips. Oh, that's right, the other couple said. You guys do that church thing. Yes, our daughter is going to Nicaragua over Christmas break, and our son is trying to get enough money together to go to Indonesia next year. He is about $4,500 short, but we're helping him as much as we can. Most of our family and friends have all sponsored him, and he's sort of on his second wave of requests. That's right. I think we got his letter asking for support. It's so nice that they can do that. There was a lot of silence at the table for a while, and small talk that I didn't really hear. But never once did I hear the couple who was boasting about all their money and all their homes offer to support the other couple's son in any way. Choose this day whom you shall serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Those two very different conversations, and yet very similar, caused me to listen more and wonder, who or what gods do people serve today? Over the years, I've learned that it seems that most people definitely have a religion that they enthusiastically follow, that most people are passionate about their faith, their beliefs, their values, and that most people have found a God to believe in. But often, those gods are money, power, and self. My last example doesn't come from a conversation I overheard, but rather a story about Nelson Mandela's life from the book Chikali Wall by Echeverria Martinez. After becoming president, I asked some of my bodyguard members to go for a walk in town. After the walk, we went for lunch at a restaurant. We sat in one of the most central ones, and each of us asked what we wanted. After a bit of waiting, the waiter who brought our menus appeared. At that moment, I realized that at the table that was right in front of ours, there was a single man waiting to be served. When he was served, I told one of my soldiers, "Go ask that man to join us." The soldier went and transmitted my invitation. The man stood up, took the plate, and sat next to me. While eating, his hands were constantly shaking, and he didn't lift his head from the food. When we finished, he waved at me without even looking at me. I shook his hand, and he walked away. Soldier said to me, "Madiba, that man must be very sick, as his hands couldn't stop shaking while he was eating." "Not at all. The reason for his tremor is another," I replied. They looked at me weird and I said to them, "That man was the guardian of the jail I was locked up in. Often after the torture I was subjected to, I screamed and cried for water, and he came to humiliate me. He laughed at me, and instead of giving me water, he urinated on my head. He wasn't sick. He was scared and shook, maybe fearing that I, now that I'm president of South Africa, would send him to jail and do the same thing he did with me, torturing and humiliating him. But that's not me. That behavior is not part of my character nor my ethics. Minds that seek revenge destroy states, while those that seek reconciliation build nations." Joshua gave the people of Israel, the followers of the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the God of Moses, who delivered his people out of bondage in Egypt, an opportunity to choose which God they would serve. He told them that today they needed to decide whether to embrace the gods of their ancestors before Abraham, or to embrace the new gods of the land in which they were living, or to serve God. The God with a capital G, Yahweh, the Lord, the great I am. Joshua told the people that you cannot serve the Lord and serve other gods. At the time, the people responded they would follow the example of Joshua and choose God. Have you truly made that choice for yourself and for your whole house? Are you truly serving God, the one and only God, in all you do, or are you of a split allegiance? Choose this day whom you shall serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Amen.